You Can Heal Your Life, by Louise L. Hey. Introduction. Imagine a woman in her early 50s, a successful teacher and speaker, suddenly getting a diagnosis from her doctor. The words are cold, clinical, and final. You have cancer. For most people, that moment is the end of a story. It's a verdict. But for this woman, it was the beginning of a profound experiment. She asked her doctors for 3 months. Not to get her affairs in order, but to see if she could do the impossible. To see if she could heal herself, using only the power of her own mind. That woman was Louise Hay. And the journey she took over those next few months didn't just save her life, it became the foundation for a philosophy that has now helped tens of millions of people around the world. Her book, You Can Heal Your Life, first self-published in 1984, has sold over 35 million copies and has been translated into dozens of languages. It's a book that has quietly become one of the cornerstones of the self-help movement, not because of some complex scientific theory, but because of one simple, earth-shattering idea. What is that idea? That the thoughts you think and the words you speak are quite literally creating your life. Your health, your relationships, your prosperity. They are not random events happening to you. They are reflections of what's happening in you. Now, that might sound a little out there at first. But today, we're going to explore this idea together. We're going to walk through Louise Hay's incredible life and the powerful, practical wisdom she discovered. This isn't just about positive thinking. This is about understanding the blueprint of your own mind and learning how to redraw it. By the end of our time together, you'll understand the one single belief that sits at the root of almost all our problems, and more importantly, you'll have the tools to begin changing it. This is a journey into the most powerful force in the universe, your own consciousness. So, let's begin. Book summary. Let's start with a question. When something goes wrong in your life, maybe you don't do well on a test, or a friendship falls apart, or you just feel down for no reason, what's the first voice you hear in your head? For most of us, that voice is a critic. It says things like, "You messed up again," or "You're not smart enough," or "You'll never get it right." Louise Hay believes that this inner critic is the source of nearly all our suffering. And at the very bottom of all that criticism, she says, is one single, devastating belief that almost every person on this planet carries around with them. It's the feeling that, deep down, I'm not good enough. Does that sound familiar? It's the quiet whisper that tells you that you don't quite measure up, that you don't truly deserve love, or success, or happiness. It's the reason we procrastinate, the reason we stay in bad relationships, and the reason we get sick. This feeling, this core belief of unworthiness, is what Louise calls the problem. Everything else, the money troubles, the difficult relationships, the health issues, they are all just symptoms. So where does a belief like that even come from? We aren't born with it. Think about a tiny baby. A baby is pure perfection and acts like it knows it. A baby isn't afraid to scream for what it wants. It freely expresses its emotions. When a baby is happy, its smile can light up an entire room. And when it's angry, the whole neighborhood knows it. Babies love every single part of their bodies, without shame or judgment. They are full of love, and they expect to be loved in return. In fact, a baby will literally wither away without love. You were like that. We all were. So what happened? According to Louise, we started listening. We listened to the adults around us. When we were very little, we learned how to feel about ourselves and about life by the reactions of our parents, our teachers, and our family. If we were surrounded by people who were unhappy, or frightened, or filled with guilt and anger, then we absorbed those feelings like a sponge. We learned their beliefs about the world, and we made them our own. If your parents constantly worried about money, you probably learned that there is never enough. If they criticized you often, you learned the belief, "I never do anything right." These weren't just words, they were the seeds of your future reality. Now, this is a crucial point. Louise is very clear that this is not about blaming our parents. She has a beautiful way of putting it. We are all victims of victims. Our parents could not teach us anything they did not know themselves. If your mother didn't know how to love herself, or your father didn't know how to love himself, it was impossible for them to teach you how to love yourself. They were just doing the best they could with the programming they received as children. Understanding this is the first step toward freedom. It allows us to move from blame to compassion. And here's where the idea gets even bigger. As we grow up, we have a tendency to recreate the emotional environment of our early home life. It's not good or bad, it's just what we know. It feels like home. So, we unconsciously seek out experiences and relationships that match our earliest beliefs. Have you ever noticed having a boss or a partner who was just like your mother or father? That's not a coincidence. We are drawn to what is familiar. More than that, we treat ourselves the way our parents treated us. We scold and punish ourselves in the same way. The words may have changed, but the feeling is the same. And if we were loved and encouraged, we also carry that pattern forward. The entire script for our lives is often based on these early messages we received before we were old enough to question them. This brings us to the first great turning point in Louise Hay's philosophy. Once you realize where your beliefs came from, you might feel a little stuck. You might think, well, my past is my past. I can't change it, but that's where the magic comes in. Louise's most powerful teaching is this: the point of power is always in the present moment. Let that sink in for a second. It doesn't matter how long you've had a problem. It doesn't matter how ingrained a negative pattern is. It doesn't matter how much pain you've been through. The past is over and done. It has no power over you now, unless you allow it to. All the events you've experienced up until this moment were created by the thoughts and beliefs you held in the past. But what's important is what you are choosing to think, believe, and say right now. Your thoughts, right here in this moment, are creating your future. This is where your freedom lies. This is where change begins. So, how do we harness this power? It starts with another core principle. The universe totally supports us in every thought we choose to think and believe. Think of the universe, or your subconscious mind, as a completely obedient servant. It never judges or criticizes your thoughts. It simply accepts what you believe is your truth, and then reflects that truth back to you in your life experiences. If you choose to believe, life is a struggle and nobody loves me, the universe says, okay, and it brings you experiences that confirm that belief. But if you are willing to release that belief, and start affirming, love is everywhere, and I am loving and lovable, and you hold on to that new thought, the universe says, okay, to that too. Loving people will start to appear in your life. The people already in your life might become more loving toward you. Your reality begins to shift to match your new belief. This is why Louise says that the only thing we are ever dealing with is a thought, and a thought can be changed. No matter what the problem seems to be on the outside, whether it's health, money, or relationships, it is only an outer effect of an inner thought. Even self-hatred is just hating a thought you have about yourself. Change the thought, and the feeling must go. This realization is incredibly liberating. It means you are not a helpless victim of circumstance. You are the power and authority in your world because you are the only person who thinks in your mind. But, if it's that simple, why is it so hard to change? The answer is resistance. Our old, familiar thought patterns feel safe, even if they're painful. When we first try to introduce a new way of thinking, our mind often rebels. It throws up all the reasons why the new thought isn't true. This is where one of Louise Hay's most famous and powerful tools comes into play, the mirror work. It's incredibly simple, yet profoundly challenging for many people. She asks you to take a small mirror, look directly into your own eyes, say your name, and then say, I love and accept you exactly as you are. For many, this is almost impossible at first. Some people cry. Some get angry. Some start criticizing their own features. Louise even had one man throw the mirror across the room. Why such a strong reaction? Because for years, most of us have only looked in the mirror to find fault. We look for wrinkles, for blemishes, for everything that is wrong. To look yourself in the eye and make a positive declaration is to go directly against years of negative programming. But Louise insists that this is the quickest way to get results. When you do the mirror work, you become immediately aware of your resistance. You hear all the negative chatter your mind throws at you. And that's a good thing. Because awareness is the first step to change. The process isn't about fighting those negative thoughts. It's about gently letting them go and replacing them with a more loving thought. It's like training a puppy. You don't scream at it for making a mistake, you gently guide it back to the right path, over and over again. The most important thought to cultivate, the one that Louise says is the magic wand that dissolves problems, is self-love. This isn't about vanity or arrogance. That's not love, that's fear. True self-love is a deep respect and gratitude for yourself, for the miracle of your body and your mind. It begins with one simple, radical act, to stop all criticism. Now and forever. Think about it. You've been criticizing yourself for years, and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. This leads us to the heart of the healing process, forgiveness. Louise Hay believes that all disease comes from a state of unforgiveness. Whenever we are ill, she says, we need to search our hearts to see who it is we need to forgive. Often, the person you find it hardest to forgive is the one you need to let go of the most. Forgiveness doesn't mean you are condoning bad behavior. It has nothing to do with the other person. Forgiveness is for you. It means giving up, letting go, and setting yourself free from the past. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The only person it hurts is you. The process starts with a simple willingness. You may not know how to forgive. You may not even want to forgive. But just saying, I am willing to forgive, begins the healing process. The universe will take care of the house. And the most important person to forgive is yourself. We punish ourselves in the present moment for things that happened long ago. We hold on to guilt and shame, replaying old mistakes in our minds. Forgiveness is releasing that burden. It's understanding that you were doing the best you could at the time, with the understanding, awareness, and knowledge you had. Once we begin the work of releasing criticism and embracing forgiveness, we can start building the new. This is where affirmations become so powerful. An affirmation is simply a positive statement that you declare to be true. But there are a few rules. First, always state your affirmations in the present tense. Your subconscious mind is very literal. If you say, I will be prosperous, your mind will keep prosperity forever in the future, just out of reach. Instead, you say, I am prosperous. You claim it as your reality right now. Second, you have to feel it. Just repeating words without any emotion won't do much. You have to try to connect with the feeling of what it would be like to have your desire. Louise uses a beautiful analogy for this process. Think of planting a tomato seed. The seed doesn't look or taste like a tomato plant. But you plant it in fertile soil, you water it, and you let the sun shine on it. When the first tiny green shoot comes up, you don't stomp on it and say, that's not a tomato plant. No, you get excited. You say, here it comes, and you watch it grow with delight. It's the same with creating a new experience. Your subconscious mind is the fertile soil. The new affirmation is the seed. You water it by repeating it, and you give it the sunshine of positive thoughts. You pull out the weeds of negative thinking. And when you see the first tiny bit of evidence that your affirmation is working, you don't dismiss it. You celebrate it. You say, it's working, and you watch it grow into your new reality. This same philosophy can be applied to every area of your life. Let's talk about the body. Louise believes we create every so-called illness in our body. The body, like everything else, is a mirror of our inner thoughts and beliefs. Every cell in your body responds to every single thought you think and every word you speak. She famously compiled a list of physical ailments and the probable mental patterns that cause them. For example, headaches, she says, often come from invalidating the self, from self-criticism. The new thought pattern is, I love and approve of myself. I see myself and what I do with eyes of love. I am safe. Back problems often represent a feeling of being unsupported. Upper back pain is about feeling a lack of emotional support. Lower back pain is often related to fear of money and lack of financial support. The healing thought is, I know that life always supports me. Cancer, she believes, comes from deep hurt, long-standing resentment, and carrying hatreds. The path to healing is to lovingly forgive and release all of the past. This doesn't mean you ignore medical advice. Louise is very clear that her work is meant to be used in conjunction with a holistic approach to health, which includes proper nutrition, exercise, and medical care when needed. But she firmly believes that you cannot fully heal the body without also healing the mind. This applies to relationships as well. Our relationships are mirrors of ourselves. What we attract in others reflects qualities we have or beliefs we hold. The things you don't like about other people are often things you do yourself, or they mirror a belief you have, like people always let me down. The only way to change others is to change ourselves first. When you change your pattern, you'll find that they either change their behavior toward you, or they simply drift out of your life. And when it comes to attracting love, Louise's advice is simple: stop looking for it. Love is never outside ourselves, it is within us. Prepare yourself for love. Become the person you want to attract. Be loving, and you will be lovable. Create a space in your life for a healthy, wonderful relationship, and work on loving yourself first. The right person will show up when you are ready. The same goes for prosperity. Prosperity is not about an amount of money, it's a state of mind. Lack of prosperity is just an outer expression of limiting ideas in your head, like money is hard to come by or I don't deserve to be wealthy. One of the most powerful things you can do to attract prosperity is to practice gratitude. Be thankful for the money you do have, no matter how little. Bless your bills with love as you pay them. A bill is simply an acknowledgement that you were trusted enough to receive a service or product first. When you pay with resentment, money has a hard time coming back to you. When you pay with love and joy, you open the channels of abundance. And finally, your work and your career. If you're in a job you dislike, don't just complain about it. That negative energy will only keep you stuck. Instead, begin by blessing your current job with love. Realize that it is a stepping stone on your path. Do the best you can where you are, and start affirming that you are open and receptive to a wonderful new position, one that uses all your talents and brings you joy. Ultimately, all of these areas, health, relationships, money, work, all come back to the same central point. They all come back to the relationship you have with yourself. Louise Hay's own story is the greatest testament to her teachings. At the age of 18 months, her parents divorced, and she was boarded out with strangers, feeling abandoned. She endured a childhood of abuse and poverty that left her with a deep-seated belief that she was worthless. This pattern of worthlessness attracted men into her life who mistreated her. Even when she became a high-fashion model in New York, it didn't help her self-esteem, it just gave her more ways to find fault with herself. It wasn't until she discovered the power of her own mind that her life began to truly change. And years later, when she was diagnosed with cancer, she put her philosophy to the ultimate test. Instead of surgery, she undertook a rigorous program of mental and physical cleansing. She worked with a therapist to release old resentments, especially toward her parents. She changed her diet, had colonics and foot reflexology, and flooded her mind with affirmations of love and healing. 6 months later, her doctors confirmed that the cancer was completely gone. Her life became her message. She proved that no matter where you come from, no matter what you have been through, you have the power to change your life. You have the power to heal. It starts with a single, gentle thought. It starts with the willingness to change. And it starts, always, with learning to love yourself. Commentary. When you really stop and think about the core message of You Can Heal Your Life, it's both incredibly simple and profoundly radical. In a world that often teaches us to look outside of ourselves for answers, to doctors, to experts, to partners, to money, Louise L gently but firmly turns our attention back inward. She tells us that the power to create a joyful, healthy, and abundant life has been inside us all along. What I find most powerful about her work is the beautiful balance she strikes between radical responsibility and deep compassion. On one hand, she says, we are each responsible for all of our experiences. That can be a tough pill to swallow. It means we have to give up the comfortable role of the victim. We can no longer blame our parents, our boss, or the world for our problems. But right alongside that challenging idea, she offers a soft place to land. She reminds us that we are all just victims of victims, and that everyone, including ourselves, is always doing the very best they can with the understanding they have at that moment. This removes the shame and guilt that so often paralyzes us. It allows us to take responsibility for our lives not with self-blame, but with a sense of empowered self-love. Her ideas were revolutionary when she first wrote them, but in many ways, they feel more relevant today than ever. We live in an age of anxiety, of constant comparison on social media, where the feeling of not being good enough is a silent epidemic. Louise's work is a powerful antidote to that. It's a timeless reminder that our self-worth is not determined by our looks, our accomplishments, or what other people think of us. Our worth is inherent. We are worthy just because we exist. So, how can you start putting this into practice, right now, today? Here are a few simple things you can try. First, try the mirror work. Just for one day, every time you pass a mirror, look yourself in the eyes and say, I love you. You're doing great. Notice the resistance that comes up. Notice the critical voice. Don't fight it. Just acknowledge it, and then gently return to the loving thought. It might feel silly at first, but it's a powerful way to start rewiring your brain. Second, pay attention to the word should. Louise called should one of the most damaging words in our language because every time we use it, we are basically saying we are wrong. For the next 24 hours, try to catch yourself whenever you say I should, and when you do, gently replace it with the word I could. I should go to the gym becomes I could go to the gym. This simple shift turns a command into a choice, and it gives you back your power. And finally, practice a small act of forgiveness. Think of someone who has caused you a minor irritation, nothing too big to start. Close your eyes, picture that person, and silently say to them, I forgive you, and I set you free. Notice how it feels in your body to let that little bit of resentment go. Remember, this isn't for them. It's for you. That was a summary of You Can Heal Your Life by Louise L. We've explored the highlights today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only take you so far. The real magic happens when you read the book for yourself. It's in the quiet moments, when a particular story or a simple phrase resonates with you in a way you didn't expect. This podcast is designed to help you decide if this book is worth your time. If anything we've talked about today has touched your heart, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see yourself in your daily life. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please take a moment to like this episode and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more people, and it ensures you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing together.